Let's turn to war, because that should calm down the debate. Destiny, look, obviously it's a pretty consequential election in many ways, but not least, I would argue, for the fate of people in Gaza and Ukraine and other hotspots around the world. Where are we with these? I mean, it's quite interesting to me that for the first time I can remember, you have a body of Republicans who do not want to back, say, Ukraine against a Russian dictator that illegally invaded their country. I remain very perplexed and surprised that that is the view. And Sarah, we can come to you for why that may be. But that is the case. If Trump was to win, he says he'll fix it all in 24 hours. I don't think he will, but he will try and do a deal. The question is, what is that deal? Because Ukraine is saying they're not going to give up an inch of the land.
So the issue is that Donald Trump is a 4-year-old when it comes to understanding really any issue, but especially foreign policy. And a lot of people have this, they're obsessed with this idea of peace in their mind, which if you're in conflict, peace is the furthest thing from your mind. You want some kind of just peace or justice, right? So Trump's solution for Ukraine is just give up the land that's been taken from you and everything will be kosher, just like Russia did in Moldova with Transnistria, just like Russia did with South Ossetia, and I can't even pronounce the other place in Georgia, and just like Russia's trying to do now with Ukraine. If you're somebody that wants, justice for Ukraine, or you want the United States to remain a world leader when it comes to, ensuring trade routes or being somebody that the world looks to ensure relative peace and freedom and stability throughout places like Europe, which it has enjoyed historically more in the past 30 years than it had in the 200 years prior to that, Donald Trump obviously is not going to do that for you. If you're somebody who's very concerned about the Israeli-Gaza conflict, I mean, you've got Donald Trump, who wholeheartedly, he said it before, will support Israel basically no matter what, with absolutely, no contention whatsoever. You've got a guy who agreed to moving the embassy, who before that was talking about pulling all of the UNRWA funding from the Gaza Strip, who would support Netanyahu through and through. The whole reason why those Abraham Accords started was because Netanyahu wanted to start annexing parts of the West Bank, right? Donald Trump is not going to help any of the Palestinians if that's something that you're concerned about. Insofar as peace in the Middle East, I mean, you've got this talking point over and over again, no new wars, no new wars. Yeah, again, we haven't had any new wars since World War II, right? The war in Iraq was the use of force authorization, or the authorization of the use of force. It wasn't technically a war.
Well, it was a war.
You can call it that, but Donald Trump bombed Syria. Donald Trump bombed Syria. That wasn't a war, apparently. With no congressional authorization. Iran attacked Saudi Arabia. They did a drone strike on oil refineries. There was conflict all throughout Iraq and Syria. Donald Trump abandoned Kurdish allies in Syria. Donald Trump signed a deal with the Taliban and essentially forfeited Afghanistan. And there was the whole fallout from that. Like, this idea that there was peace in the Middle East under Donald Trump is absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense.
Look, I actually think Trump's foreign policy was a lot more effective than people give him credit for.
He did nothing. What was effective about it?
Well, there's not. Look, I mean, it's not. There's some truth in there mixed with some just like attempts to get Donald Trump. Look, when people say there were no new wars under Donald Trump, there is. First of all, I'll say at least that's the talking point. At least that's what they're going with, rather than going, he killed all them terrorists or something like that, which would have 20 years ago would have been the talking point from people on the right wing. So that's at least better. But the reason why they wouldn't consider him bombing Syria a new war is because Obama had us already in that conflict since 2012.
When he reneged on his red line.
Yes. Now listen. By the way, there are
Assad used chemical weapons, and Obama did nothing, and Putin came in and took control. Well, that's what happened.
Okay.
Yes,
anyway, yes.
That is what happened.
Well, actually, if you want to really look at what happened in 2012, because the war, and I know you know about this stuff, because the war in Iraq had been such a disaster, and the power had been handed back to the Shiites in the region, and Iran had more influence than they had had in the history of the regime, then it really started under George W. Bush, but then continued into Obama. They did what they call the redirect, where now we were going to try to take the Shiites down a peg, who we had just put in power in Iraq. And so what we wanted to do was overthrow Bashar al-Assad, and so we started funding all of the anti-Assad rebels, which largely consisted of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and they knew this. Anyway, it wasn't like during Obama inherited these two wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and said he was going to end at least the one in Iraq. He then spread wars to Libya, Syria, Yemen. Somalia had already been going since George W. Bush was in there. You didn't see that under Donald Trump. You didn't see. However, he did.
Disagree.
Yes. If you let me finish the sentence, then sure, we'd get there. However, he did escalate the war in Afghanistan, which he said himself was unwinnable, and so he escalated the war in Afghanistan. Not like Obama with 70,000 plus troops there, but he did send thousands extra troops. He did take off the gloves with drone strikes and rules of engagement. So the idea that he was like an anti-war president is not true. there was rhetorically, he was very different than previous presidents, and he would at least talk about the idea that these wars were disasters, that we never should have fought them, and that really America shouldn't be involved in that business.
Also,
I'm glad that he's at least infusing that into the
Sarah,
popular
I do think
conversation.
he came at it with an overview as a business guy. It's just bad business. These wars were costing trillions of dollars cumulatively to get nowhere, really. What's your assessment of Trump on the foreign stage?
And there's huge conflicts of interest also with this war machine that our country has seemed to have embraced and allowed to perpetuate. I'm voting for Trump because I hate war. And I don't know if any of you, I hate that it's the old men who call for wars and they send our young men to go fight those wars for them, our young men and our young women. And, you know, all politics are personal. I don't know if any of you have a real personal connection with those who have been sent to war zones. And then the guys, the gals, they come back different people. They're adversely affected. On a personal level here, I will do whatever I can, and I will support whatever candidate needs support in order to avoid war. Why I will not support Kamala is she doesn't understand, for one, that inherent link between energy development, energy independence in America, and that inherent link between that and our safety and our sovereignty. And because Kamala and because the Democrat Party has put an end to so much of our exploration, certainly so much of our development of our own natural resources.
Isn't America producing more energy today than we have in all of history?
No, we're not. And
that's not true? We're not?
No, we're not. And
okay.
Remember, Kamala and her administration, day one, they stopped pipelines, no more drilling on federal land.
So,
they did.
So we look up, America's not producing more energy. You ran with McCain. You said you care about veterans and everything. Did Trump's comments about McCain bother you at all? Did Trump prefers people that didn't get captured?
I've never said anything negative about McCain or any.
I didn't ask if you said it. I asked if Trump's comments bother you about that.
Anyway,
when Trump made fun of that Gold Star family for their child, did that bother you?
The
they bother me. I wrote a column criticizing him heavily
for it. She cares about vets. I had two parents who served in the Air Force. I'm just curious, if you cared about vets, did these comments bother you?
When
Trump tried to go to Arlington and do a photo op there.
If I care about vets,
yeah, if
really,
you do, did these comments bother you?
If I care about vets.
If you cared about vets, I'm asking, did these comments bother you?
So the inherent link between energy and prosperity and energy
talk
security.
About whether or not Trump's comments about McCain bother
you interrupted the point that I was going to make.
Because you're not making any points. These are political talking points. Are we running for office in here?
Really?
You did run for office, by the way. You ran with John McCain, the most warmongering man that we know of.
Why did you run with John McCain? The point to make.
Why did you run with John McCain if you're anti-wars?
To make a positive difference in our country.
But he would have sent more people to die.
You don't know that.
I do. He literally said, bomb, bomb, bomb Iran. He sang it.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
he sang it. He did campaign.
He campaigned on a war platform.
He campaigned on 100 years in Iraq.
He campaigned on staying in Iraq 100 years and bombing Iran.
You're asking why I accepted the nomination to
I'm just wondering, you're sitting here saying you're against war abroad, and yet I just want to remind younger viewers at home, you ran with the most warmongering senator of my lifetime.
And you're asking why I ran for vice president of the United States of
No,
America?
I know why you ran. You wanted power. I'm just saying why you're not consistent.
I mean, to be fair to Palin, Vance accepted the nomination, and he said that Trump could be America's next Hitler, so, I mean, you know.
All right, why don't we try and be a little fairer to the ex-governor, because she's on her own here getting attacked by three brutal males.
And I wanted to talk about energy and America's
finish your point.
What you said was false about energy. Facts matter too. America has record energy production right now.
No.
It does. People can Google it right now and see
I
that you're not
said
telling
that
the
on
truth.
day one, what the Biden administration did was halt so much of our exploration
And yet we have record energy
and our
production.
construction of pipelines. And
I'm not a fan of that, by the way. I think we should have less energy production. I'm a critic of Biden on his energy production.
You're a liar. You lied.
I'm a liar.
Yes, and you said, no, Biden didn't do that. Yes, he did. On day one.
Do you know he handed out more licenses than Trump? Do you know that?
I'm making the point that you denied. My point is true.
Destiny said energy's higher, and you said no. So if anyone lied, you did.
Listen.
People can DVR it. They can rewind it and see you saying a false statement.
Let me ask
to Destiny.
So
energy production higher. Is energy production higher today?
You don't think that Biden
is energy production higher under Biden than Trump?
And you just
is energy production higher, Sarah Palin? It's a very simple question. I know facts are not your strong point. Is energy production higher today under Biden than under Trump? It's a simple yes or no question.
You're an obnoxious.
See, but then the issue
Facts
that's
hurt, don't you? Facts don't care about your
you say,
feelings.
are Americans wrong when they have this feeling? Well, the feelings
I'm
oftentimes are
obnoxious
generated
because I asked
from
you if energy production's higher today than under Trump.
You're
That makes me obnoxious.
because I'm asking you why you would say that
I mean, I'm
Biden
obnoxious.
didn't thwart.
You're a
he
racist.
didn't
We want to play
thwart-
that game? You said Obama is not born in America. He's not one of
did?
us.
I
He's
said that?
Yeah, you said Trump is doing a great job asking for his birth certificate.
I
You said
said
he's
that?
You said he's not one of us. You said he jives and schmucks. Should we go down the record? You're going to call me obnoxious? Why don't we talk about your racism?
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about your racism?
Why do you change the
you
subject
said you
instead
said
of
Black
just
Lives Matter
answering a
protesters are dogs.
question?
Should we go down? Should
I
we go down
said
the
they're
All right,
dogs.
all right,
You're
hang
a
on.
liar.
All right, let's-
Show
let's-
me where I ever said that protesters
It's funny you didn't deny the
dogs.
Obama. Did you say Obama's
Let
shocking
me-
giant?
You're
All
a
right.
liar.
Mehdi, if you get the governor on your show, which is, I would say, unlikely as things stand, if you
do
do,
it
you
often.
can continue the prosecution. Let me just segue to this, though, because it's
I
interesting.
called people dogs who were protesting in
believe you
America.
believe
You're a
you did.
liar.
Did you question Obama's birth?
Oh my goodness!
Did you
are
say
a
he's
liar.
not one of us?
You know, based
Did you say he's
on
palling
that,
around with terrorists?
Based on that, we're talking about Bill Ayers at the time and how
So you stand by
Obama
that?
had kicked off.
standing by Obama's with terrorists?
Entire. Oh my goodness! I can't believe
Did
you
you
even
say he's
have
not
a
one
show.
of us?
If you,
Did you say Obama's not one of us?
I still want to know this proof that you have of me calling protesters in America dogs.
I believe you referred to Black Lives Matter protesters that
I
way. If
believe
I'm wrong,
you
I'll
are
happily
wrong.
withdraw
All
that
right,
comment.
we'll fact check after this. I want to ask you this, Mehdi, because you're being very vocal and taking on Sarah Palin.
I mean, I got called obnoxious for pointing out energy production levels.
I
so
don't
yes.
think you would win a court case about
No,
not being
you're
obnoxious. But
because
let's
you
move on.
lied
Let's move on.
about Biden not thwarting our
I can also be
exploration and
obnoxious before you
development.
just play the whataboutery.